Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another video about hybrid project management. My name is Rogério Manso, and I'm here in my YouTube channel where I used to talk with some professionals about project management in general, more specifically about hybrid project management. Today, I will talk. The subject is a little bit different. I have a pleasure to receive here a great friend of mine, uh, and we're gonna discuss about PMO versus VMO. What are these differences? Why we some people call PMO, others call VMO? What's the difference? How these could be structured in an organization, and what is the influence of a PMO, VMO into your in the choosing your project management approach? So today, I have here a great friend of mine. As I said, he's an IT PMO head of IT PMO in an international organization, and it's a pleasure. Let me introduce him here to this room. Hello, Celso. How are you?
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thanks to Rogério for having me here. It will
Thank
be
you. Thank you, my friend.
a
I
challenge
know
and a
Celso for a
pleasure.
long time, actually, but we never had. We've been discussing to have this conversation, this meeting, but we never have the opportunity to match the agendas. So today it's a special day because I was able to get Celso available to spend some time with us to share his experience, his job. He's as I said, he's the head of IT PMO of ICAO. It's correct,
Yeah,
ICAO.
it's ICAO. It is
ICAO.
ICAO, yeah. ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization. Is a specialized agency of the United Nations, such like the UNICEF or FAO or WHO. Everybody, I'm sure everybody nowadays know what WHO means. COVID put them in very much high evidence. So ICAO, it is the organization that is responsible to regulate everything related to civil aviation in the world, from maintenance to operations to airport operations to flight and pilot training. I mean, you name it. Anything related to aviation, to civil aviation, it is all the regulatory marks come from ICAO, and I'm proud to be part of this organization for more than 17 years now. The headquarters is here in Montreal. For if you don't know, I'm here in Montreal. Close, not too close to Rogério, but
It's an organization that it's part of the United Nations or not?
exactly, we are part of the United Nations.
Okay.
So it is, again, it's a specialized agency, we call it, right? Again, like UNICEF, like FAO, like the WHO, like ITU, all those agencies that each one has its own niche and niche specialty. We have the civil aviation to take care.
Okay. So I usually to start these meetings with all friends asking a question, but I'm afraid to ask this question to you because I know that you have about 25 or 30 years of experience.
Uh,
But usually I ask people to tell us, how did you start your career? Why did you choose project management? Do you think that you can tell this in a short time?
that's an easy one. Well, first of all, I'm an electronic engineer by formation. I started my career designing circuit boards for telecommunications, and life keeps going. And then I had my own company and for marketing, for software development, and suddenly there was managing software projects and managing implementation of systems and etc. And there it goes. I became a project manager, but it's not something that was planned, or I'm afraid to say sometimes not wished, because it is a it's very stressful position when you deal with major projects, complex projects. But that's how it goes. I mean, life.
You always
Here I
worked
am
for
now
the
managing this thing.
government, or do you always worked for the government or the international institution, or you have some private experience?
Actually, I joined ICAO in 2007. Before that, it was always private and industry. As I said, I had my own company for 12 years, developing web applications, something that today is called SAS, right? And CRM, SAS, CRM. But at that time, we didn't have neither CRM or SAS concept. So it was a software. It was a client oriented type of software to monitor campaigns, ad campaigns, etc. And after 12 years working in that field, the opportunity came to sell the company. We sold the company to Accor Group in France, which is very nice, right? So he gave us peace of mind to move back to Canada, because I was already in Canada. I went to Brazil, then I came back to Canada in 2007. So in that time, when I came back in 2007, it was to work by invitation from at ICAO. So, and I joined them to take care of the statistical databases, the statistical areas of ICAO. We collecting data all over the world to figure out the forecast the traffic, forecasting the amount of money that you need to pay for your tickets, things like that. So and then again inside ICAO things evolved. I became an actual responsible for the e-business unit, responsible for implementing the e-commerce and the CRM at ICAO. And after a while, I was back to project management, and so I was invited by the IT department to set up the PMO, the internal PMO, the project management office for ICAO. Actually, it was our third try in getting a PMO running in ICAO. After 2 years, the PMO got bigger, and then I was in charge of the enterprise architecture office there that engulfs the PMO. But then after a few years, the enterprise architecture got dismantled, and I'm back to only having the PMO. And those changes again affect basically the governance and how projects are decided and implemented. It didn't much of affected our operations, but that's a short thing. I hope.
Okay. You said a lot of things, and I have a lot of questions to you, and maybe some people that are watching us now also have some questions. But let me ask you something, because I invited you to discuss today about PMO versus VMO. Okay,
Yeah.
and I know that VMO is something that it's pretty new. There's some years that we started listening about people talking about VMO. It's Value Managed Office.
Yeah.
PMO is Project Management Office. But when you start when you were asked to create the PMO, how did you start it? What was the first thing that came to your mind? Okay, I need to create a PMO here in my organization. How can I start this? Do you have any previous experience on this?
No, zero experience. I never. We know about. I knew about PMOs. I knew about how the thing works, but I never actually worked under a PMO, right? And the main challenge is, okay, so what kind of PMO will fit our needs? And that time, our needs were basically having a centralized repository of projects, a standardized procedure in starting, managing, and closing projects. So the drive for the PMO was, we had people all over the place. Again, we had waterfall projects, we had agile projects, we had something that now I'm discussing with Rogério. Today we know that it's called hybrid project, but at that time, it was a mixture of everything, and that thing drove saying, okay, we need a better governance in deciding, prioritizing projects. We need a better way of allocating resources to our projects.
Okay.
Not that we had too many projects, because it was circumspect to the IT area, but we had a current. I mean, at a given time, we could have like 5 or 6 projects going on.
What kind of projects do you have at
basically software projects or system deployment projects. We had projects developing new applications because again, being a specialized agency, very focused in governance, in regulatory aspects of the aviation. If you go to the market to buy something or to implement something, you're not going to find many.
Yep.
So what happens that we used to develop a lot of things based on software development, regular software development, C#, web-based, very simple environment or architecture. So we used to go on that level. Then we noticed that, well, we can do something better using standard platforms, right? So we went then to the Magento platform to implement our e-commerce. So the project became to configure and to deploy a Magento instance for our e-commerce. Same thing with the CRM that came with the necessity of saying, well, we need a better control on our events. ICAO promotes, I don't know how many events a year all over the world, and to control who comes, who doesn't come. And there are some events, there are high level events that need authorization of a member state of a country to allow that person to represent the country in the event. So we call it credentials. So we need to how to control the credentials, things like that. So it became, instead of developing from scratch, okay, maybe we can use a CRM system that can actually configure those things and be part of it. So we went to another type of project of implementing a special configuration within the CRM platform. So and ICAO itself has other areas of projects that also are very, very complex. For example, there are people that build an airport, right? So a government can call ICAO, say, look, I need to build an airport, but I don't have the expertise to do that. So, and then they do that. So this changes of like simple software versus a hugely complex projects in terms of building an airport or building a new radar system or implementing a new air traffic management system, etc. It becomes a nightmare if you don't have a standardized way of measuring the outcomes of those things. That was the thing. So at the end of the projects, but what happened? I mean, how many people work over here, and why these people work over here? Why? So the PMO came to trying to minimize this discrepancy between projects, and became a way of allowing us to actually measure the outcome of the project, and measuring the long-term benefits that the project came, aka value.
And in this I like this big responsibility. What was your biggest challenge? What do you think that could I don't know. What do you think that was the biggest problem or blocker that you have? That if you're gonna do today, you will try to avoid more easier.
Well, implementing a PMO there's two main blocks, I would say. The first block, it is the actual rules and regulations of the PMO, right? How the PMO will operate, what are the terms of reference of the office, how the governance will be, how the PMO fits inside the current governance of IT in the organization. So that poses a different issue of negotiation, issues of convincing people that having that PMO actually will be benefit for the organization. In other words, that to set up that one, you need to. We had to sell the idea of that. Okay, having a PMO will bring value to this level, will bring savings in that level, things like that. So my first challenge was to sell the idea of the PMO to people who had absolutely no idea why we're doing this thing. Why, again, project management in general, it's still very much seen as cost.
Mhm.
So it's difficult to for a non-projectized agency or a company to understand and see the value, the long-term value that a PMO can bring. As I said, on the other bulk was to have the people that are used to working one way, in one form, and convince them, say, look, you need to adjust, you need to change, or you simply need to start from scratch, okay, the way you work. So the change management involved in implementing all those rules and regulations was a big challenge. To answer your specific question, what I have done or what I would do if it was today, was basically to engage a better change management professional or something, or business analyst, whatever, to engage change management procedures in to how to go with the people. The regulation is regulation. Again, it's just a matter of finding the right words that everybody will be happy and also promote the right function. Now, on the other hand, to have these people working under this regulation, it is a different story. Again, people is always the biggest challenge.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think I never put in place a PMO, but I worked during a process when we were installing a PMO, and I saw that the change management it's the main part of this process. Um, you said something interesting. How to show the value of the PMO? We know that the PMO could bring many advantage to the organization. Uh, for some organization, they are more focused on cost, like you said. Others are more focused on managing the resources. Others are more focused on trying to align the strategy, the business strategy to the project. So there's a lot of different aspects of the PMO that could bring value. And then I came to our question. Today we see a lot of people talking about the value management office, which means that they are trying to really make this office, this management office, something that brings value to the organization. And when we talk about value, we can see, value for me could be different for you, could be different for another person. What means value for an organization not necessarily is the same perception that other organization could have for this same value. So the point that I see many organizations that are just changing the name, and for me this doesn't means nothing. If you change the name from PMO to VMO, but you don't understand the philosophy or the principles behind these name, doesn't matter. This doesn't
No,
help.
it doesn't work
So
like that.
what for you today? I think that you already have your PMO consolidated. You maybe because a PMO is always in the maturity process to increase the maturity process, right? We never stop
No.
to learning and to improving. But today, I'm sure that you have some a good vision about what brings value to ICAO, uh, the PMO. So, what you think that your PMO or VMO really add value to the organization?
Okay. Well, the United Nations has adopted Prince 2
Mm-hmm.
as the main methodology for project management. That because the Prince 2 framework has uh, the project level, program level, portfolio level, and it has a value level. It has a management of value. Okay, and within our concept, with our understanding, value is brought to the table in several as being in several aspects, right? You can bring financial value, you can bring operational value, you can bring strategic value. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of interpretation, as you said, in terms of what value actually means. Now, the main thing that I see is that when any project starts, it needs to have this alignment with your objectives, with your strategic objectives. If that alignment can it means that okay, I'm implementing this to obtain that X and Y gains that the other on the other side. So the project, the change that you're implementing, right, needs to bring a perceived goal or a perceived value for the organization in terms of okay, if I do this, am I enhancing the environment as a global thing? Am I getting implementing something that will enhance our operations so that my operational cost will go down? So when you talk about value management, when you talk about this thing, Prince 2 already has this thing in mind. But again, it's benefits, right? Looking to the long-term benefit. You have project objectives and goals, project outcomes, and project benefits, aka value. That's addressed to those things. So the PMO when you implement any PMO, you have to look into that aspect. Say, what can I do to facilitate the transition from current state to the next state, so that at the end, or that future state, or that at the end of that next state, I can have something tangible, or sometimes non-tangible, but I have something that I can clearly recognize that is good for my organization or is good for the community that where my organization acts. Right? There is this actually a colleague of ours from the University of Quebec here in Montreal, Luis Pinto. Right? He was a doctor. He got a doctor degree in project management here in University of Quebec, and he developed something called the PMO value ring, right? Which is today, just a couple weeks ago, that PMO value ring thing has been absorbed by PMI now. So good,
The
Luis
Global
America,
Alliance,
good job.
PMO Global Alliance.
Yeah, Global Alliance was just adopted, right? So that concept of the implementation of PMO it tries to show or tries to identify what the actual value you plan to bring. You again, several dimensions: operational dimension, financial dimension, project operate. Performance, project performance, and people performance. So again, value it is not something that is easy describable or is an easy way to say this is value, this is not value. It depends the situation. The same concept in a particular organization, the same concept might be valuable at a given time and not be that valuable some other period of time, because again the perception of how this thing contributes to the outcome of the company or the organization is what do you call it, subjective. That's the word I'm looking for. The
Okay.
concept of value, it is subjective in terms of how you see these things.
Yeah.
That's,
I've been working with different PMOs as a consultant, and I totally agree with you. For each company, I can see different visions in terms of the values that the PMOs bring to the organization, and even the way they work. Some organizations uh, prefer more centralized structure, others more decentralized structure. But one thing that I see more frequently in terms of challenge is the adoption of different approaches in project management. So some years ago, we only have traditional projects. Okay, so it's normal that the PMO develop frameworks, directions, instructions, go to trainings, focusing on traditional approach. Then we came to agile, and then we start listening people saying, "Oh, I have an agile PMO because we work in an agile mode, so all my projects are agile." Blah blah blah. And now we see that most of the PMOs are trying to um, live traditional or predictive and adaptive together in the same PMO, which for me, I think that it's another challenge, because these are different ways, forms to
yeah.
manage, and we need to think how we can put these two approaches together. That's why I'm trying to use this channel to discuss about hybrid project management. And I don't know if in your PMO you have this situation where you
Of
have a
course,
project or a program where you can use
of
part
course.
of in a predictive, another in adaptive. How did you see this?
Again, we don't have it. We cannot. We don't use the formal say. Oh, we have an hybrid format. It
Hmm.
doesn't. And you know me well. I'm not very keen of naming or labeling things, right? As I mentioned before, I used to work in a system that today is called CRM. We used to do software, changing the requirements as we go. That became something called, oh, let's call this thing agile, and things like that. But the reality is that there's no way. I mean, there's no way to isolating one block or the other. Okay,
Hmm.
the hybrid concept. If you're dealing with IT in some way, you always have this mix of agile with and traditional waterfall, especially if you work in an organization like mine. Not my The organization I work at is not my organization. Same organization that I work, where it's very bureaucratic in terms of how, okay, here is the idea, here's what we need, here's the business need. So then you have to write a business case, you have to go through several steps of approval, you have to go to financing and secure the funding, etc. So no matter how agile your software development will be, that part, that's initial step, or until you say let's do it, it is a traditional waterfall type of project. There are some PMOs that don't consider that creation of the project as part of the project. There are some concepts that they say, okay, my project starts when I start to execute something. When the first step, so they consider until the project charter of the PID, many project managers consider saying, well, the time that I took over here is not part of the project, because over here I can simply what do you call it, stop the project because reasons ABC. Therefore, until here I don't consider a project. Project for me is from here on, where I actually executing operational tasks. My personal point of view, a project starts when you have an idea, when you have the business need. Somebody comes to you and say, you know something, I cannot put my lives on YouTube. I need something to put. From then on, for me, is a project, and this is how we implemented our PMO. So the project life cycle starts when the business comes to us and say, I need something. This is something that I need to be done. Therefore, it's natural that we have a waterfall, sequential, very predictive part of the project in order to get to the point to say, okay, now we start to execute. Many of those projects are software development. So from then on, 100% Scrum, no problem at all. Let's move on. That's no big deal. When the Scrum, when MVP is delivered, now the project itself becomes, we close the project in again traditional format. We stop, we evaluate the value, evaluate the pros and cons, lessons learned, etc. But then the maintenance or the continuation of that system still follows the Scrum methodology. So it's hard to put a label. Here is this type. Here is that type. Here we break. Here we don't break. So for me, it's like a more fluid type of thing, and executing the project or managing the project as it needed. Right? Sometimes you need step by step. You need to get approvals. You need to wait for the approvals to be done, etc. You cannot. There's nothing you can. You cannot advance the project before that step is being closed. In other times, you can parallel things, and then you start to do some work over there. I mean, so I don't like to label on these things, and I like to keep an open mind. Say, look, if this phase of the project is better done inside an agile cycle, so be it. Okay, if it is meant to be just a regular procurement cycle, so be it. No forcing or changing the nature of the project to adjust or to adapt to quote unquote a label, or to quote a preconceived strategy or preconceived structure of projects. So that makes things more flexible and allow you to be again more effective, bringing higher value to the organization.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that once we started labeling some activities or some process, we start making this process inflexible. And in project management, flexibility, adaptability is something that we need always to put in front of our knowledge. Okay, I have some questions to you. I'd like to see if you can, like, for example, give an example of a project, because I remember a long time ago I worked for the World Bank. It's an organization like your organization, but more in financial domain. And we for each project we had to have a very detailed plan, because the budget was really restricted and very well monitored. okay, because it's international money. We don't have money to, it's not a no, it's not a profit organization. So
Indeed.
for each project, we had a budget. We need to have a very detailed plan, and this project should be executed as planned. If any change happens, we need to get there's a lot of a long process to get the approval to change. You have to get another budget or anything to complete the budget, and it was very difficult to change the project. But this is a long time ago. At that time, we don't know about agile. Today, we know about agile, and we know that agile, we have some flexibility in terms of the scope, the change, blah blah blah. So how this works in an organization like your organization, where I'm sure still monitor and they control the cost of the projects.
Oh boy. Okay, let's be political here.
I see that this is a big challenge for you.
Well, again, there are several different types of projects within ICAO. The most, I would say, traditional are the ones that member states hire ICAO to do things. This is done through the Cooperation and Implementation and Development Bureau. That the CID, it is the person, the internal PMO that manages external projects. For them, it is very much one step at a time. There is no way, because again, most of the projects over there are infrastructure projects. So applying agile to the building of an airport or installing a new air traffic management doesn't fit well. Things will go wrong. So there's not much of that adaptability there. You need to be by the book, measuring each task and reporting each task. On my side, with the IT PMO, we do have more flexibility on that. We can look at implementations in different ways. Because of the enterprise architecture framework that I put in place, we have the concept of buy, build, buy, or customize or build for last. So first we try to buy something that will fit our needs, and the cost control, and all the things is much simpler to do that. When you go into an implementation project, again, it's one of those huge complex projects, mostly very close, probably what you had in the World Bank, where you have parts of government involved, you have parts of private companies involved, and we have like one or two, maybe sometimes a series of project managers being overseen by a program manager. So it's far more complex. On my side, it is not difficult to keep costs in place. To give you an example, we just delivered now a new disaster recovery and business continuity strategy for ICAO. So in that aspect, we develop the strategy of business continuity, and we develop disaster recovery plans for the most critical applications that we have. And then the work was basically done by a third party outside ICAO, another partner agency in Valencia, in Spain, and we had the role of the program manager, managing, hoping and overseeing the deliveries, overseeing the quality of the delivery, making sure that the delivery is properly tested when they deliver, and take a look on the cost. So when a particular item in that project require more time of this third party, again, you know how you, it's like a consultancy company, right? It's like a doctor, it's like a lawyer. If they answer the phone, they start to charge you, right? If they send you an email, they charge you. So we had to take a look on those things and try to minimize those type of things. And the way to minimize was to be strictly inside within the terms of reference. So we spent a long time discussing the terms of reference, so that when we say we're ready to go, here's the budget, let's go, let's do it, we had a very clear target and goals to deliver. So by the time they started to deliver, it was basically a checklist. It was very simple to monitor and to change. Of course, the work was very complex, but the monitoring of that work became very simple, and the management of the cost was not an issue at that point, because again we work a lot on the planning side. We spend a long time planning so that we don't have to use extra time. We don't have to rework, basically, right? There was no rework in the work. So here's the thing: we just go step by step. We check and we deliver. So it was a simple thing. Now I only can talk about those type of projects because those big ones, the implementation projects, I'm not involved in those. But again, you can imagine building an airport in a Central Africa country, how complex the logistics involved, how the getting personnel to build or getting equipment to be delivered, and getting budget to be proper allocated. It is a huge challenge on that part.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I hope I didn't drive too far away from the road here.
No, no, no. It's okay. Actually, I used to in this live. I don't like to have any, rigid format. So we are here to share ideas, to share experience. I think that the most important thing here is to learn your experience, because I know that most of people that are watching this video have no experience working in an international organization like you have. So it's important that people understand that it doesn't matter what kind of organization you're going to work, if it's a private organization, a governmental organization, or an international organization. We need we need to adapt. We need to find what really brings value to the organization.
Indeed.
But it's different. I see a lot of people trying to use frameworks, results, models, templates that some organizations use it and get some successful results inside the organization that have nothing to do with this. Okay, I saw many times organizations, financial organizations, trying to adopt some best practice that came from
There, yeah.
the construction. This is the process.
What I see that, again, I said at the beginning, the biggest challenge is always people, right?
Mhm.
So there are many people that when you say, okay, let's set up a PMO. Oh, the PMO will bring this value. It will bring. Let's put a VMO in place and things like that, right? And what happens is that usually they want the organization to adjust and to adapt to those standards, to those best practices, right? Which sometimes becomes really difficult. And again, you simply lose the sight of the value from that one, right? So what happens that especially if you work in our organization is considered very small within the UN. We have about 800 people here in Montreal and another 700 around the world.
800.
Huh?
800.
Yeah.
Well, it's not small.
Well, for UN levels are pretty small.
Okay. Okay, but I would say it's a medium large organization.
Well,
800, the whole organization are saying, right?
yeah, yeah,
In the
yeah.
PMO, you have how many professionals?
You don't want to hear it. Within project managers and PCOs, etc., we're about 10 people.
Okay, so
About 10
which
people.
means that most of the time you have outsourcing services or external
Yeah,
providers to work with you to
yeah.
execute the project.
Well, yeah. Until 2 years ago, uh, the solution was always to build things inside, build internally, build. And until somebody heard our calls for ration for reason, and they say, it makes no sense to have, like, we are not, IKEA is not a software house, okay? IKEA itself is not a development company. So let's stop putting effort. And as you know, the more you build, the more people you're going to need to maintain. It start to get really big, and say, oh, wait, we need to stop this. So the best thing we did was to stop the internal development and going to the quote unquote standard way. If you need something bespoke, you hire somebody to develop for you, right? You
You
have the
can manage
knowledge.
this organization. You can have this governance of the project and the management on you, but the execution and the
Execution now, exactly,
outside.
exactly. So so finally we got a new CIO 2 years ago that finally heard our calls and say, enough is enough, no more bespoke, okay, enough of customized systems and software. Let's figure out how can we serve our member states in a more quote unquote standard way. Can we
Mhm.
use a CRM to do our performance management? Can we get a document management system that is already done by Adobe or DocuPlace? I mean, it's not why we need to develop a document management system.
And also, Celso, I think that the United Nations organization itself, because there are organizations inside the United Nations that you have some system. I remember
Of
again
course,
that, for example, the phone system that we used in World Bank was the same that was used in the FFEMS.
there we go. So and 2 years ago with the new CIO, we started this digital transformational project
Mhm.
process consisting of 9 huge projects. One of them was document management, and the choice was, okay, let's use what we have already in the UN. It was called
Yes.
GDoc, Iluna, all those things. Let's bring them over here, right? Now we replacing our ERP, right? Meaning, actually, it's not replacing, we just discarding our ERP and joining a UN consortium for ERP called Quantum that is based on Oracle. But again, there's a whole group of people that are focusing maintaining, supporting, and implementing that ERP. So we don't have to have an internal ERP team to manage that. We just need to have the business needs, communicate with the UNDP at this point, and say, look, this is what we need. So people will take care of that. So we don't need to go in that direction anymore. So it helps. It helps to again, we talk about coming back to the value thing, right? It helps to raise value. It helps to bring value closer to our reality today, and not to wait 20 years for return on investment. Maybe our return on investment can be perceived in 2 3 years now. So things are going in a better way. So our PMO today, it is not a more it is not more is not about standardizing project documents anymore. It's not about overseeing software development anymore. It is much more on the side of saying, okay, here's my budget, here's my product, and the quality of this thing has been properly measured and delivered. Good. So the value chain, or the value chain that derives from this goals, it is still valid, and it is meant to be achieved in 1, 2, 3 years, whatever.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Celso. I think that you're talking about the alignment between the business strategy and the IT. So
yeah,
your role today, the PMO roles today, is really to make sure that what you need in terms of technology and systems and everything else, it's aligned with the strategy of the
indeed,
organization, the business strategy. But you're not responsible to the execution. You're responsible to make sure that what you need, what you
yeah,
develop, it's aligned with the strategy, business strategy, and
yeah.
make sure that if you're gonna hire an external
They
provider,
fulfill that.
they will
Fulfill
fill
that mandate.
the contract and they follow
Yeah,
the contract.
exactly. And this is exactly how it goes. Like today, we have this program office, right? A big program office that is responsible for the transformation of ICAO. There's human resources, finance, digital. Forgot the other ones. 4 pillars.
When you say transformation of organization, it makes me crazy.
You know, he's making a lot of people crazy down there too.
Oh boy!
But
I
thank
had
God, I'm
yeah.
involved only on the what you call the TO3, which is the digital transformation, right? The other, the human resources, finance, and process. I guess I don't recall the fourth one, but anyway, I'm focused on the TO3 pillar, which is the digital transformation. Only inside the digital transformation, as I said, we have 9 huge projects. Okay, so this program office is the one responsible for those 9 projects. And out of those 9 projects, only one is being doing it is a customization of the CRM system inside to fulfill a performance management and risk management goal. Because again, as you said, there's no escape. There will be very specialized software that needs to be developed because only that organization does those things. In our case, is auditing the implementation of those regulations in the country. So we have what we call USOP program that manages the audit responses and audit programs that ICAO does with the member states in order to improve and again raise their maturity in terms of aviation management. So the PMO, as you said, today is quote unquote restricted to this strategic level. That's why the enterprise architecture was brought in a few years in 2019 in order to take a look, because the goal of the enterprise architecture, one of the goals of enterprise architecture is this alignment, and this alignment can be achieved by changing the process, changing the organization structure, providing projects that actually meet that specific business goal that will contribute to our strategic objective. It's not a simple a operational project to help me to stream something. So why I'm streaming? Well, because I need to fulfill that requirement that the whole world needs to watch this stream with the translation for 5 languages. So enterprise architecture came into place looking to this thing, and the PMO inherited that concept of strategic objectives in terms of looking what's supposed to be delivered and commenting and proposing solutions, not actually finding the software, finding the solution, but ensuring that whatever solution it is chosen, it is properly aligned, and will ensure that if that alignment is properly implemented, we can have a not certainty but a good probability that the value at the end will be achieved too. So yes, we became a oversight, basically an oversight PMO, where the operation of the projects was what do you call it, transferred to another area.
Interesting, very interesting, because it's new for me. These the way you organize the PMO. But as I said, this is because your organization needs and business and strategy require that your PMO be organized like this. And I hope that people that are watching us understand that there's no fixed solution or unique solution or
Not
bullet,
so, not at all,
a
not at all.
silver bullet for every situation. So there's for each organization, for each, even I would say, even each business line inside the
Indeed,
organization,
indeed.
you need to think about what brings value, how you gonna organize, what you need to, why you need a PMO or a VMO. Okay,
Yeah.
what this will help the organization to achieve their goals.
Indeed, as I said, and that comes the concept of VMO, right? So I don't see how I mean having a VMO actually physically being implemented. I can see value management being part of the organizational structures and everything, but having a specific group of people concerned about, okay, the project that I did like 5 years ago is still returning value, not returning value. I think will be too much. So probably that function should fall back to the PMO. And as you said, there are different business lines inside organizations require different solutions of PMO and value management. Again, as I said, the value is a subjective concept that might change in time and change in location. What's value for me here in Montreal might not be true for my office in Bangkok or my office in Cairo. It's completely different way they see the benefits or the alignment to our strategic objective. So how to align and bring value changes from that perspective.
Yeah.
The thing that the value management brings, it is that the exposure that projects A, B, C, and D that were meant to bring this type of return for objectives, for strategic objectives A, B, and C. The VMO allows, if you have a VMO or VMO concept inside the PMO, allows you to take a look on these long-term benefits and redirect or rearrange your current structure, your current goals, and to enhance those benefits. It's like, I remember when I was studying marketing many years ago, that there was this concept that the product life cycle, right? You have the product life cycle that goes up, and then when the product starts to decline in terms of sales, you have to put a new boost over here in terms of price or features to allow them to recover some more market. Same thing with the benefits. You had those benefits being collected along the time, but there are times that you need, look, those benefits are not being collected anymore, or it's not exactly what we expect it to be. So we need to revamp that project. Maybe we have to do a new project on top of that to revamp that particular change or the product or service that was delivered, so that we can enhance the value that, or recover the value that was losing at that time. So the concept of value management must be definitely embedded in the PMO. Definitely must be embedded in the PMO. I'm not quite sure yet. Again, as you said, the VMO is a new